Hey everybody, this is Chris Mahan with Lead a Teen Podcast. I just wanted to reach out to everybody tonight. This is the day after Hurricane Milton and about 2 weeks after Helene. And in August, we had Debbie. So we have down here in Florida and now Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, we have had just hurricane after hurricane and devastation after devastation. I know you've been seeing things on the news, you've been seeing things on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all these videos. And I have to tell you that the devastation from last night's storm here in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, right on up was just another horrible storm. There's people still without power. Our neighborhood, just a block from me, turning into my street, is completely flooded. It just kind of came up. There's an Anclote River is flooding up now, about 12 hours past when the storm finally cleared. We're still having effects of flooding. There's police officers everywhere locking down streets. People are trying to get back to their homes. So we had to cut through a parking lot through a 7-Eleven to get around that to come home. And there's just little things like this that are happening all the time. And it got me to thinking, like, okay, so the storm's gone. How do parents tell their kids about these situations and keep them calm? One of the biggest issues that I think parents have during these times of disaster and stress is kids don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to cope with it. They don't know how to process it. So I want to share a couple things with you tonight that going into a disaster or even the aftermath of a disaster where they're looking around and their home is gone or their neighborhood's gone. It's just insane when little kids come back and they see this world that they thought was their perfect world is completely upside down, inside out. So what can parents do? Well, one, you have to allow your kids that time to grieve as well. Let them have those emotions, those big emotions. Let them have that time of stress and to cry, whatever it may be, but also to tell them that it's going to be okay. So we don't want to diminish their feelings. We don't want to make them feel less than because they're small or whatever the case may be. Or if it's a teenager and they've lost everything, because as you know, teenagers, everything in their room is their whole world. It's their yearbooks, it's their pictures, it's their things with their friends, their memories. To them, that's their entire universe. And so when it's gone, that is a huge, huge deal for them. As adults, we know that insurance can replace beds and TVs and things like this, but for young people, that's everything. Some of those things are irreplaceable. So talk to them at an age appropriate level. When you've got little kids, say 6, 7, 8, you want to explain to them in a term of safety. It'll be okay. We'll be fine. We'll be, in a good place. Don't stress. Don't worry. We'll be fine. We'll be together. That's a comforting thing for them and allows them to kind of calm down and realize it'll be fine. A little bit older, say 12, 11, 13, you can give them a little more facts about things like here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to move. We're going to have to do this. And, also in those conversations, give them the opportunity to have an opinion. Let them kind of let you know what they think about something. I'm not saying you have to act upon it, but give them the opportunity to be seen and heard in these family crises when they're trying to make a decision. Let them have some say. If you don't like what they're saying, you say, hey, that's a great idea, but we got to maybe do this, but allow them to be part of that conversation. Engaging in these conversations when there is such a huge issue is a big part of helping them cope and kind of get back to normal. One of the things you really want to limit, though, is social media. I know it can be very difficult today because social media is everywhere, but social media in times like this is clickbait. Okay, to use a term that young people use. Um, these corporations, these TV stations, they make money off views. They make money off sensationalism. A lot of what they're saying can be helpful, but a lot of it too can also be very detrimental to a young person because they're getting bombarded with all this information. A lot of it could be true, could be a little bit far-fetched, who knows? If it's going to sell tickets, that's what I call it, then they're going to use that type of verbiage in a news story. They're going to show the worst of the worst footage. They're going to show all these devastating things And yes, that's important to show people how bad things were. But at the same time, if your teenager or your young person is watching this over and over and over and over, they're going to start to believe that the whole world is just caving in. Now, case in point would be North Carolina right now. It looks like a complete apocalyptic scene from some movie. It's horrible. As someone who used to live in North Carolina, I can tell you that those folks are very, very resilient. They will bounce back, but that doesn't diminish the fact that that area is completely wiped out. So when young people see this, they hear hurricane, they're going to think, "Oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen to us, and how are we going to deal with this?" Last night we did stay, and Milton did come through, did a lot of damage in this area, took off roofs, uprooted trees. We now have the Anklet River, as I said, flooding behind us right now as I'm doing this video. So for young people to see this, and the storm's gone, but there's still the aftermath. This is when you as a parent have to put your own emotions maybe aside for a second and think about your kids. Think about what they're going through. Think about how they're processing, excuse me, how they're processing this whole thing. It is so important that you do that, because if you diminish what they're thinking or just kind of put it aside, the next time a hurricane or a tornado, if you're in the Midwest or out west, a mudslide or a fire or any other natural disaster up north in the winter, a storm, winter storm, anything they could think is going to, destroy their home, uproot their life, they have to know that it's very, very temporary. But this comes from you. It has to be a safety issue first, understanding emotions second, and letting them be heard and seen as the third part to that. Keep the conversations open, keep the communication flowing, and make it age appropriate. And that should help your kids to deal with natural disasters. Another big thing to do, and I'll wrap this up, in the aftermath, if you can get them to find a volunteer place where they can help give back, it's very important to teach your children how to give back, to have a compassionate heart, to be kind, to think about these things uh, from another person's perspective. There's always someone in worse shoes, and to have your kids help other people in these hard times is going to also give your kids a sense of purpose and to help them also recover from the devastation they just experienced. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to me at leadyourteen@gmail.com. And this Sunday, we have a new episode, episode 4, Shadows on the Wall, the Psychology of a School Shooter. I have to do it on Zoom. I was going to try to do it live, but my guest is Annie Alvarez. She is the host of Masterful Parenting. She's also a school counselor up in Canada. She's been my special guest this week. So I hope you guys can join us, and I'll put all that out. There'll be clips on Opus Clips. There'll be clips on, that's what I use, TikTok, Instagram, but the full version will be on my YouTube channel, which is Lead Your Teen Podcast on YouTube. All right. Hope you guys have a great night. I hope everyone is safe. And please, when things happen, don't diminish your kids' feelings. Allow them to speak, be heard, and be a part of the solution. All right. Thanks.